Hello class, today I decided to do my 20 times presentation about procrastination. Now, obviously procrastination is the key part of this presentation, but I want to make it a little bit more about the brain and how influential that our bodies can be towards our brain. Now, when I say our bodies, I mean how the different actions we can do can better our brain, but can just as easily worsen it. Now, we all know about drugs and alcohol, and those can damage our brain, the way that we function. Because drugs and alcohol give you dopamine, they don't feel like any issue. We keep doing it because we have been rewarded. So what's the big deal? Procrastinating works in a very similar fashion. By putting off work to the last minute, you are making it more strenuous than it has to be. And by completing strenuous work, well, you have that weight lifted off your shoulders. You feel like what you just did was freaking great, and now you just might be so obliged to do it again because you just got dopamine from it, which means you think it's perfectly okay. No, that's not obviously your fault. That's the way your brain is wired to do some things. We can't necessarily control when it gives us dopamine. It kind of just does it, and we like it because it's just the way our brain works. Now, speaking of the brain, because that is very influential in procrastinators, hence the amygdala. This part of the brain is responsible for our emotion control and the way that we feel about a lot of our daily tasks. Now, individuals with a larger amygdala have been found to have a much more higher tendency to put things off to the last minute, and more specifically, their emotions toward projects and essays or anything that they have to do really is basically not that much. They really don't feel like they have to do it. And that's really the trick that a procrastinator has, is they really just don't feel like they have to do it. Now, oftentimes, a project might be worth a lot. They have to get this project done, they must. But by having this part of the brain tell them they don't really need to, well, the brain's very convincing, fellas, it really is. So by doing so, they don't really want to do the work because they don't feel like they have to. Now, does this mean that you're trapped as a procrastinator if you have this part of the brain that's larger than it really should be? Well, no, the amygdala, for one, isn't actually a very big part of the brain necessarily, but various forms of yoga and meditation have been found to shrink this part of the brain too, and by doing so, giving you greater control of your emotions. Now, this plays, obviously, into other things, such as your body. Having greater emotion control is always great, but also gives you better control over knowing what is important emotionally, and also for some things that your body has to do. And having a better control over how you feel about projects and stress. Obviously, if you know that it's going to be stressful to do it the last minute, your amygdala is going to tell you that you have to do it because obviously procrastinating is stressful. I found that through the last couple weeks of procrastinating that it has been very, very stressful. And the work that you do is oftentimes, for me at least, not as good as it could have been if I had just put the work in. Now, I like to tell myself that I work better under stress, but I really don't. I really, really don't. If I put work off and actually divide it up, I probably could do a lot better on it. Now, what I'm trying to get at here is the brain. The brain is why some of us procrastinate, and it's why none of us can really control it sometimes. But like I had mentioned, with the key of the amygdala being able to both increase and shrink, show how capable we are of controlling our brain. And by doing so, it really tells us that we are the pilots of ourselves. We can control things very easily if we just put our minds to it. And in this case, it's putting your mind to changing your mind, which is something that we can all do.